Marijuana legalization has gained quite a bit of momentum. The majority of Americans do want marijuana legalized, either for medicinal or recreational use. And apparently this is something that the White House does not like. And we now know that because of a super secretive group of people that they put together to spread nonsense propaganda demonizing marijuana. Now, BuzzFeed originally broke the story about this committee, and now the committee had no choice but to acknowledge its existence. So who are these people? It's the White House's Office of National Drug Control Policy, or ONDCP, and they've acknowledged the committee's existence in a letter to a Democratic senator seeking information in light of BuzzFeed's news report. So what's problematic about this group is not only the lack of transparency regarding its existence, but what they specifically seek out. So the ONDCP acting director, James Carroll, says that the intent of the Marijuana Policy Coordinating Committee is to work with federal and state partners to assess rapidly changing drug markets. But in reality, what this group of people has tried to do is find any and all negative evidence or anything negative regarding marijuana to essentially undo the legalization efforts that have succeeded on a state level. The committee complained in one memo that the narrative around marijuana is unfairly biased in favor of the drug and said it wanted to turn the tide on increasing marijuana use. Never mind the fact that we still have a massive opioid problem in the country, and maybe we should spend our resources trying to figure out what to do about that rather than wasting resources on a drug that you literally can't overdose on. But nonetheless, what would you expect from Trump's administration, where the Attorney General is, so anti-pot that he can't even hide it?
Yeah, so this is the area that Trump and Sessions do agree on. At this late juncture, I'm still naive enough that I was like, oh, maybe they kept it secret because they were also going to look at the positive influences of marijuana or the consequences, et cetera, of smoking it. And then that's why they wanted to keep it secret, because they're against marijuana being legal and they don't want it to leak that they're looking at scientific reports that show both negative and positive effects of marijuana. How ridiculous of me. Of course not. So, and then they lie and say, oh, no, we're looking at it both. No, it turns out the memos instructed 14 agencies and the Drug Enforcement Administration to submit, quote, data demonstrating the most significant negative trends on the drug, only asking for negative information about marijuana. And as others in the field are pointing out, and in fact, a senator from Colorado is pointing out, Michael Bennett, he's saying, if you looked at scientifically peer-reviewed studies and you looked at negative and positive, great, that's fantastic, that's what we want you to do. Because number one, we've already looked at those studies and we know what they say, that overall actually has more positive effects than negative effects. Not to say it doesn't have any negative effects, right? Plus, number two, if you've got other studies that I didn't see, great, I want to see that because I actually believe in science, right? If they found out studies that marijuana has long-term damage, okay, I'd be super interested in that. I wouldn't want to hide that, I'd want to know, right? But these guys are not honest actors, so no. And of course, it turns out the committee, they didn't want to talk about it because secretly they were asking everybody, just give us negative stuff about marijuana so we can prove our case against it. Whether it's true or untrue, who cares? Who cares? Jeff Sessions and Donald Trump have decided marijuana is evil.
Well, look, as we all know, there is a lot of money to be made through the continued prohibition of marijuana on a federal level. The DEA, it's easy. It's low-hanging fruit for the DEA. It's low-hanging fruit for private prisons. It's low-hanging fruit for anyone who makes money pretending like they actually think the drug war works. And more importantly, what happened to, oh, we're against big government? This is the definition of big government. Like, don't get me wrong, I would like actual studies to be done on marijuana, and one of the biggest issues is that scientists were unable to conduct peer-reviewed studies because of the prohibition on marijuana. They were not able to get approved by the federal government. In order to obtain the marijuana, they had to ask the federal government for access to it, and there's literally one place where they can get it, and the federal government kept saying no. Why? Because they don't want the evidence showing that this is far less harmful than the pharmaceutical drugs that are being pumped out into the public on a daily basis. So, and pharmaceutical companies hate marijuana too, because guess what? You can't control it, right? It's not something that needs to be created in a lab. It's something that you can grow in your backyard if you genuinely wanted to. And they hate that. They hate that they can't profit off of it. And I think it's too late for them. I think that there would be so much outcry if they tried to make it illegal. And let's keep it real, you conservatives, you guys are puffing up after work.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, there's two sides on this issue, and it actually does not break down necessarily to conservatives and liberals. It breaks down to politicians and non-politicians. Non-politicians, the jury's in, man. It's like, it's at 60 and now nearing 70% of Americans who believe in at least medical marijuana legalization. But the number grows every single day on recreational legalization. That's well over 50%. I think that's around 60% now. I don't have the polls in front of me, but I remember doing the stories earlier about it. And do Republicans smoke pot? Of course they do. Of course they do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Do Republicans drink beer? Yes, they would do that as well. So do Democrats. Those are real people. But the politicians, there's money to be made, so they don't give a damn. And there's people to demonize and demagogue. And so, yes, the Republicans are worse because they're now going on a war path on drugs. They don't believe in science, and so they're doing all these things. Yes. On the other hand, Barack Obama, you smoked pot, you got away with it, you didn't go to prison. You were president for 8 years. You had all the opportunity in the world, at a minimum, to say it's not a Schedule I drug, which means it's the most dangerous drug in the country. Are you serious? I mean, come on. And he didn't have the moral courage to at least make that simple, incredibly easy decision. But no, what will people think of me? What will my donors think of the Democratic Party? And what will the Republicans say about me? What will Fox News say? How
many people went to prison under Obama's watch over marijuana possession? How many?
And under Bush and under Clinton, and they all smoked. They all smoked. And they sent millions of people to prison for the same thing that they did. So the hypocrisy of the politicians on this is unbearable. Two easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.